Beloved, there are signs in your life that cannot be ignored. Signs that you carry a presence, a light, an influence that shifts atmospheres the moment you step into a room. This is not just about personality or charm. This is about a God-given spiritual radiance. Some call it an aura, but in the spirit, it is the evidence of God's hand upon your life. And when your aura is powerful, you will notice certain things begin to happen, not because you are chasing them, but because the anointing attracts them. Today, I will reveal 7 clear signs that your spiritual light is burning bright. There is something about the presence of God on a person that makes them impossible to ignore. You can walk into a place without saying a single word, without wearing anything flashy, without doing anything to call attention to yourself. And yet eyes will turn, conversations will pause. People you've never met will somehow feel like they've known you for years. They might smile, nod, or even strike up a conversation without understanding why they feel such ease around you. Beloved, this is not coincidence. This is the power of a God-given aura, His glory resting upon you. When the Spirit of the Lord covers you, you become a carrier of His fragrance. Just as a flower fills a room with its scent without effort, you release the aroma of His presence without even trying. It is not about outward charm, though you may be polite and kind. It is not about charisma, though you may speak with warmth. This is deeper. This is spiritual attraction, an invisible current that draws people toward you because they sense something pure, safe, and life-giving. Think of how the crowds were drawn to Jesus. It wasn't simply His miracle, as many times they came before He had performed any sign in their midst. People traveled for days, walking in the hot sun, bringing their children, their elderly, their sick, not because they understood every doctrine, but because they felt something in His presence they could not find anywhere else. You carry a measure of that same anointing when your aura is powerful. You may not even realize it, but the Spirit within you radiates outward, touching hearts before your words ever do. And here is the mystery. Many of the people drawn to you won't even know they are being drawn by the Spirit. They may think, "I just like being around you," or "You have a good vibe," or "I feel peaceful when you're here." They might not have the language for it, but in their soul, something recognizes the light you carry. It is the Spirit of God bearing witness, even to those who have never stepped inside a church. This drawing power works in every environment: workplaces, markets, public transport, family gatherings. You could be standing in a grocery store line and find someone suddenly opening up about their struggles. You didn't ask for their story, but somehow they felt safe enough to share. That's because your spirit signals to theirs, "It's safe here. You are seen, you are heard, you are loved." Understand this. When people are drawn to you like this, it is not for your glory, but for God's purpose. You are not simply a friendly personality, you are a vessel. And the Spirit uses that magnetism to position you for divine appointments. That conversation in the cafe, that neighbor who keeps finding reasons to stop by, that coworker who lingers around your desk, these may not be accidents. They may be moments heaven has arranged for seeds to be planted, for comfort to be given, for chains to be broken. But with this drawing power comes responsibility. The same way a flower must remain rooted to keep releasing its fragrance, you must remain rooted in the presence of God to keep carrying His aura. If you disconnect from the source, the glow fades. People may still be drawn to you for a time, but without the Spirit's fresh flow, you will run dry. This is why prayer is not optional for someone with a powerful aura. It is your lifeline. Also, remember that this attraction is not always about smiles and handshakes. Sometimes, people will be drawn to you because they are desperate, hurting, or searching. They may come with heavy burdens or even messy attitudes. You must not take their approach lightly, because God may have brought them to you as part of their healing journey. Your role is not to entertain them, but to carry light into their darkness. When your aura is powerful, you will find that people you barely know will confide in you about their deepest wounds. They might say, "I don't know why I'm telling you this." And you will know why. It's because your spirit has become a safe place where the broken can breathe. And beloved, here is the beauty of it. This drawing power is not something you have to strive for. You don't have to force it. It flows naturally from a surrendered life. When you walk closely with God, when you keep your heart pure, when you live in love and humility, His presence will clothe you like a garment. And just like a candle in a dark room, you won't have to announce that you are shining. Everyone around you will see it and feel it without even knowing why. When your aura is powerful, you are not a thermometer that merely reflects the temperature of a room. You are a thermostat that changes it. The moment you step into a place, something happens. You may not see it with your natural eyes, but in the spiritual realm, there's a shift. If there was heaviness, it begins to lift. If there was confusion, a strange clarity begins to settle in. If there was tension, it starts to break. This is not because you are extraordinary in yourself, but because you carry the Spirit of the living God, and His presence overrides the environment around you. Think about Joseph in the house of Potiphar. Scripture says that the Lord was with Joseph, and because of that, everything in that household was blessed. The atmosphere of that entire home changed because one man walked in carrying divine favor. The same can happen when your aura is powerful. You could walk into a workplace filled with gossip and strife, and without preaching, without lecturing, just your presence begins to change the tone of conversations. People might not even understand why they suddenly feel calmer or more respectful when you're there. It's because your light is setting a new spiritual temperature. It works both in small and large settings. In a small gathering, you might notice how laughter becomes more genuine and conversation becomes more uplifting when you join. In a large crowd, you may sense people's attention and energy subtly shift towards you, as though something inside them recognizes the authority and peace you carry. This is not manipulation. This is the spiritual law of light overpowering darkness. The enemy loves to control atmospheres. He uses fear to create oppressive environments, uses anger to stir division, uses lust to corrupt the air of a place. But when you walk in carrying the Spirit, you carry the antidote. Fear can't stand in the same space as faith. Hatred cannot stand where true love is present. Darkness cannot remain where light has entered. Sometimes this shift will be welcomed, and sometimes it will be resisted. You may walk into a room and see smiles grow wider, hear conversations become kinder, and sense that peace is spreading. Other times you may feel certain individuals grow restless, avoid eye contact, or suddenly excuse themselves. That's because when you carry a powerful aura, it will confront whatever is in the atmosphere. Both the good and the bad will respond. You've probably experienced it without even realizing it. You might have visited a friend's home and noticed the children became calmer while you were there. You might have entered a meeting where people were arguing, only to see the tone soften after you spoke a few words. You might have walked into a store and felt the heaviness of the airlift simply because you came in with joy and gratitude. This is not coincidence. It is the manifestation of spiritual influence. Jesus Himself carried this power. The storm on the Sea of Galilee was raging. The disciples were panicking. But the moment He spoke, "Peace, be still," the entire environment shifted. That same authority lives in you when you are walking in alignment with God's Spirit. You may not always speak words out loud, but your spirit speaks. Your very presence says to the chaos, "Be still." It says to the fear, "You cannot stay here." Understand, this is not about being the loudest voice in the room. In fact, sometimes the most dramatic atmosphere shifts happen in silence. It's when you quietly walk in, take your place, and the Spirit within you begins to push back against the spiritual climate without you even saying a word. You are a carrier of peace, and peace is not passive. It is a force that displaces darkness. And here's the key. You must protect your atmosphere before you can shift someone else's. If you come into a place already burdened with negativity, you will reflect what's already there instead of changing it. But if you stay prayed up, rooted in the Word, and filled with the Spirit, you will enter every room as an agent of transformation. You will not just participate in environments, you will redefine them. So when you walk into that office, that classroom, that home, or even that hospital room, remember this: you are not coming in empty-handed. You are bringing the very presence of God with you. And that presence has the authority to shift the atmosphere instantly. When your aura is powerful, you will find that some people are unsettled by you, even if you've done nothing to offend them. You may walk into a room and feel eyes following you, not with admiration, but with suspicion or quiet hostility. They may avoid conversation, or if they do speak, their tone carries a hidden edge. And you're left wondering, what did I do to them? I don't even know them. Beloved, it's not always you they're reacting to. It's the light you carry. When the Spirit of God rests upon you, it exposes what's hidden in others. Just as turning on a light in a dark room makes the dust and dirt visible, your presence can cause people's insecurities, guilt, or bitterness to surface. They feel seen, not in a warm, comforting way, but in a way that makes them aware of things they would rather keep hidden. And because they can't confront the Spirit within you, they often choose to keep their distance from you. Think about the religious leaders in Jesus' day. He healed the sick, raised the dead, fed the hungry, and yet they hated him. Why? Because his very presence exposed their hypocrisy, pride, and spiritual emptiness. He didn't have to accuse them. His purity was enough to make them uncomfortable. When your aura is powerful, you will experience the same. Some will love the light in you, but others will resist it fiercely. This intimidation is not about physical dominance or arrogance. It's about spiritual authority. People sense that you walk with a kind of confidence that doesn't come from this world. You are not easily shaken. You don't compromise your values. You carry yourself with quiet strength. And to those who are insecure, manipulative, or living in deceit, that is deeply unsettling. You may notice it in subtle ways. In the workplace, a coworker might avoid giving you direct eye contact. At social gatherings, some people may stop their conversation when you approach, as if your presence has disrupted their flow. Even in your family, there may be those who seem different around you, guarding their words or avoiding certain topics. That's because your spirit has shifted the atmosphere and they feel exposed. And here's something important. You are not called to dim your light to make others comfortable. If you reduce your glow to fit in, you rob those same people of the chance to experience conviction that could lead them to transformation. Sometimes the discomfort you cause is the very thing God uses to stir change in their hearts. You are not responsible for how they feel in your presence. You are responsible for carrying the presence faithfully. But this also means you must walk in love even toward those who seem intimidated by you. It's easy to take offense and think, they just don't like me. But remember, they might not understand what they're feeling. They might not even have the language for it. All they know is that something in you makes them unsettled, and instead of drawing closer, they pull away. If you respond with grace, they might eventually realize that the very light they resisted was the light they needed. This is why humility is essential when your aura is powerful. Never mistake intimidation for superiority. This is not about thinking you are better than anyone. It is about recognizing that you carry something holy, and holiness will always make darkness uncomfortable. You might be in a season right now where God is elevating your influence, giving you a stronger voice, and placing you in rooms you never imagined being in. In those places, you will encounter both favor and resistance. The favor will encourage you, but the resistance will test you. And in that test, you must remember, if your presence stirs discomfort, it could be confirmation that your light is piercing through the shadows. So do not shrink back. Do not apologize for walking in the authority God has given you. You were never meant to blend into the darkness. You were meant to stand out as a beacon. And sometimes that beacon will make people squint until their eyes adjust to the light. When your aura is powerful, your spiritual senses become sharp in a way that the natural mind cannot explain. You begin to notice things that others overlook. You can walk into a place and, without anyone saying a word, feel whether peace or tension is present. You can meet a person and sense whether their smile is genuine or if it hides pain. This is not paranoia, suspicion, or human intuition. It is spiritual discernment, a gift from God that allows you to detect what is unseen. The Bible tells us in 1 Corinthians 2:15, "But he that is spiritual judgeth all things, yet he himself is judged of no man." In other words, a person walking closely with the Spirit can perceive situations accurately, even without being told every detail. That is why when your aura is strong, you may find yourself sensing when someone is lying, when danger is near, or when an opportunity is truly from God. You've probably experienced this before. Maybe you were about to make a decision and everything looked perfect on the surface, but deep in your spirit there was a gentle nudge, a quiet, something's not right, and later you discovered why. Or perhaps you've been in conversation with someone, and while their words were polite, you felt an underlying resistance or even hostility toward you. That's discernment at work. It sees beyond appearances. When your aura is powerful, this sense is not limited to people. It also applies to spiritual atmospheres. You can walk into a room and feel if joy has been there or if arguments have filled the air. You can enter a home and sense whether it's a place of peace or a place where bitterness lingers. You can be in a gathering and detect if the Spirit of God is welcome or if something is trying to resist Him. This awareness is not given to make you fearful, it's given to make you prayerful. You see, discernment is part of your spiritual armor. It allows you to navigate the world with wisdom. Many fall into traps because they only look at what their eyes can see. But you, because your aura is powerful, can sense the unseen currents, the spiritual undercurrents, before they pull you under. It's like being able to smell smoke before the fire becomes visible. This gives you time to act, to pray, and to guard yourself from harm. But this gift comes with responsibility. You must handle it with humility and love. The goal is not to walk around judging people in your heart or assuming the worst about them. Instead, it's to be a vessel God can use to intercede, to warn, or to bring comfort. When the Spirit shows you something, it's often because He wants you to partner with Him in dealing with it. Sometimes through prayer, sometimes through action, and sometimes simply by being aware so you don't get caught off guard. And remember, not everyone will understand or appreciate this ability. You may try to explain to someone why you don't feel right about a certain situation, and they may dismiss it. That's okay. You are not called to convince everyone. You are called to obey the Spirit. Even if others don't see what you see, your obedience to what God reveals will protect you and position you for blessing. There will also be moments when your discernment gives you insight into someone's pain, even when they hide it well. This is one of the most beautiful ways a powerful aura works. You can sense a heaviness on someone, and through a kind word, a prayer, or even a simple smile, you can begin to lift that burden. Many people walk through life feeling invisible, but when you notice their unseen struggles, you become a reminder that God sees them too. This ability to sense beyond the surface is not meant to make you proud. It's meant to make you sensitive to the Spirit's leading. Because sometimes the most important battles you will fight will not be in the open, they will be in prayer, in the quiet moments when you've picked up on something others have missed. That is why those with a powerful aura must keep their hearts clean, their minds sharp, and their spirits tuned to God's voice. When your aura is powerful, one of the most noticeable things people experience around you is a deep sense of peace. It's not just that you're calm, it's that you radiate an atmosphere of safety, rest, and stability in a world that feels like it's constantly shaking. People can sit in your presence and feel their shoulders relax, their breathing slow down, and their worries lose their grip. They may not be able to explain it, but they know they feel different when you're around. This peace you carry is not a personality trait, it is a spiritual reality. It's not about being naturally quiet or introverted. You could be joyful, expressive, and full of energy and still carry a deep current of peace within you. This is because the peace you have is not from you. It comes from the Spirit of God living in you. Jesus said in John 14:27, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you." This is not the fragile peace the world offers, which depends on circumstances being perfect. This is a supernatural peace that remains steady in the middle of storms. When your aura is powerful, that peace overflows from your spirit and touches others. You could walk into a chaotic environment, people stressed, rushing, arguing, and without saying a word, you start to shift the atmosphere. Someone might not even notice you've entered, but they begin to feel calmer, lighter. That's the peace you carry doing its work. Many people in this world are starving for peace. They live in constant anxiety, carrying the weight of their responsibilities, fears, and disappointments. They long for just a moment where they can breathe without feeling pressure. That's why they are drawn to you. It's not just your smile or your kindness. They are hungry for the stillness you bring because it reminds them of something their soul has been missing. And sometimes this peace you carry will make people open up to you in unexpected ways. A stranger in a waiting room might start telling you about their life story. A coworker might share something deeply personal without really knowing why they feel safe to do so. It's because the peace in you is speaking louder than words. It's saying, you can rest here. You don't have to pretend. You are safe. But understand, this peace is not passive. It's not the absence of conflict. It's the presence of God's authority over chaos. When you walk in peace, you carry a spiritual force that resists fear, anxiety, and confusion. The enemy cannot stand against it because peace is a declaration that God is in control. The storms may rage, but you are anchored. That's why even in your own trials, people look at you and wonder how you can still smile, how you can still speak with faith. What they don't see is that your peace comes from a deep well that cannot be drained by external circumstances. This is why you must protect the peace you carry. You can't allow just anything to disturb your spirit, because your peace is part of your ministry to others. If you lose your peace, you lose your ability to refresh and stabilize those around you. Guard your heart. Stay rooted in prayer. Feed your soul with the Word. Keep your mind fixed on the one who is your source of stillness. When your aura is powerful, peace becomes a gift you offer everywhere you go. at work, at home, at the store, even in moments of confrontation. And the beauty of it is you don't have to force it. Just like a cup that overflows naturally spills onto everything around it, the peace inside you will inevitably touch those near you. And some people, even without understanding what it is, will crave it so much that they keep coming back, not because of who you are, but because of the one who lives within you. When your aura is powerful, you will notice something very unusual. People will either be strongly drawn to you or strongly repelled by you. There is rarely a middle ground. The same light that draws some will irritate others. The same spiritual fragrance that comforts one person can expose another person's hidden wounds or darkness, causing them to keep their distance. This is not because you are inconsistent, it's because your presence forces a spiritual response. Light is never neutral, it always causes a reaction. When you enter a dark room and turn on the light, two things happen. Those who love the light rejoice because they can now see clearly, but those who have been hiding in darkness are unsettled because their hiding place has been exposed. This is why, as much as you may long for everyone to like you, it will never happen when your aura is strong. Your very existence is a spiritual dividing line. You will attract supporters, people who love your spirit, value your presence, and want to be connected to you. These are the ones who will encourage you, celebrate your wins, and stand with you when challenges come. They are drawn to the peace, wisdom, and strength you carry, and often they themselves are seeking to grow in those same qualities. When you speak, they listen. When you pray, they feel it. When you walk into the room, they breathe easier because they know your presence shifts the atmosphere for the better. But you will also attract opposers, people who, for reasons they might not even fully understand, resist you, criticize you, or even try to undermine you. Sometimes it will be subtle, like a cold tone in conversation or passive-aggressive comments. Other times it will be more direct, false accusations, gossip, or outright hostility. It's important to remember they are not just reacting to your personality, they are reacting to the light you carry. Jesus experienced this in his ministry. Crowds gathered to hear him teach. The sick traveled great distances to be healed, and yet, in those same moments of glory, religious leaders were plotting against him. They saw the same miracles, heard the same words, and stood in the same presence, but their hearts responded differently. That is exactly what happens when your aura is powerful. It forces a choice to draw near or pull away. Here's the danger. You might be tempted to shrink back or tone yourself down to avoid conflict. But the moment you dim your light to make someone comfortable in their darkness, you've stepped out of the purpose God has for you. You are not called to be palatable to everyone. You are called to be faithful to the one who gave you that light in the first place. At the same time, do not let the love of your supporters inflate your pride. Support and applause are wonderful blessings, but they must never become your source of identity, because the same people who cheer for you today can be silent tomorrow. The only constant is God's approval. This is why you must learn to walk steady, thankful for your supporters but not dependent on them, gracious toward your opposers but not distracted by them. Both groups are part of your journey. Supporters will encourage you to keep going, and opposers will keep you sharp and remind you to rely on God's strength. When you understand this, you will stop taking people's reactions so personally. You'll recognize that some are drawn to you because they recognize the Spirit in you, and others are resisting because they are not ready to face what your light reveals. And both responses are simply proof that your aura is doing exactly what it was meant to do, shining so brightly that no one can remain neutral in your presence. When your aura is powerful, you don't always need a pulpit to influence lives. You don't always have to open a Bible in public or quote a scripture for people to be moved toward transformation. Your life becomes a sermon. Your actions, your attitude, your choices, they preach louder than your words ever could. Some people may never step foot in a church building. They may never listen to a full sermon or read a single verse, but they will watch you. They will study how you treat people, how you respond to challenges, how you handle success, and how you walk through pain. And without you even realizing it, the way you live will plant seeds of change in their hearts. You see, there's something magnetic about authenticity. People are tired of empty talk. They've heard promises and platitudes from every direction, but when they see someone living their values consistently, it stirs something inside them. When they watch you forgive instead of holding grudges, when they see you stay calm instead of losing your temper, when they notice you choosing honesty even when it's costly, they can't help but wonder, what makes them different? That question is the beginning of change. Your life can challenge someone without you ever confronting them directly. A coworker who gossips might begin to feel uneasy doing it around you, simply because you don't join in. A friend who's been drifting into unhealthy choices may rethink their path after seeing your quiet discipline and inner joy. A family member who's been bitter for years might start to soften because they see how peace radiates from you. You never told them you should change, but your example called them higher. This is the quiet power of influence. You don't have to demand that people listen to you. Your life earns their attention. And here's the truth: people believe what they see more than what they hear. You could tell someone you can have joy in the storm, and they might nod politely but not really believe you. But if they watch you go through a storm and still maintain your joy, suddenly your words have weight. You've proven they're possible. This is why your daily walk matters. The little things you do when no one is watching, the consistency you maintain when it's inconvenient, the integrity you uphold when compromise would be easier. These are the things that give your aura its power. They are the invisible ingredients that make your presence a force for change. And sometimes, the change you inspire will be invisible at first. People won't always tell you that you've impacted them. They might even resist you outwardly while secretly being convicted inwardly. But months or years later, you may hear someone say, "I never told you this, but watching how you lived made me want something more for my own life." That's the ripple effect of a powerful aura. It keeps working long after the moment has passed. Even your mistakes can inspire change if you handle them with humility. People are not looking for perfection. They're looking for sincerity. When they see you own up to your failures, seek forgiveness, and grow from them, they realize that change is possible for them too. Your vulnerability becomes an invitation for them to believe they can rise again. So never underestimate the influence of simply living in alignment with your values, your faith, and your calling. You might think, "I'm not doing anything special." But every act of kindness, every choice to walk in integrity, every moment you choose peace over chaos is a seed being planted in someone's heart. You may not see the harvest today, but your life is writing a message that someone is reading, quietly, attentively, and with the possibility of transformation burning in their soul.